Okay, so there's no denying that I have been absolutely frothing Splitgate 2 at the moment. I made that pretty clear in my last video. And as I spend more and more time with the game, the more and more I'm coming to appreciate the rawness of its gameplay. Especially here now, everything feels so weighty yet responsive at the same time. But a point I did make very briefly in my last video was how I thought Splitgate 2 was very important for the industry. It was very much a passing comment that could have been written off as fluff or filler content, but truth be told, folks, that wasn't merely a passing comment at all. It's actually something I truly believe about Splitgate, and today I want to elaborate on that point a little bit further while I frag out in the background. Splitgate 2, in a way, has taken me back to an era gone by in first-person shooter games. An era where, above all else, the fun element was the key consideration behind every decision that made up a game. Decisions such as how the gunplay felt, how a player navigated the map, how they unlocked new content in the progression line, how things were balanced overall. I've rambled on this in the past time and time again about how a lot of last generation games absolutely nailed this feeling, so I'll spare the details today, but the point here itself is that Splitgate is an FPS that feels like it was designed with fun in mind first and foremost. I really can't shake that core feeling I get, that whenever I pick up and play Splitgate 2, I know I'm not going to encounter anything tedious, grueling, or gatekeepy within the experience that tries to artificially elongate my game time. The game simply tries to be fun and lets its gameplay do the talking to keep me around for the long run. In this day and age, that is quite a rarity. A lot of games these days tend to throw the carrot on the stick, if you will, to try and keep you engaged for the long run, mainly through the use of FOMO mechanics that aim to encourage you to play longer, otherwise you miss out on certain content. With Splitgate 2, I've been dropping hours upon hours of game time in, often losing track of time completely, not because I'm rushing to unlock new things before a doomsday timer expires, but instead because I simply can't stop saying, oh, one more match won't hurt. And in all honesty, I think that comes from the fact that everything in this game feels so damn satisfying to use. I catch myself switching between all of the weapon combinations on the regular, sometimes being completely undecided what I'm going to use at the start of a match, and sometimes even going back to the default carbines and assault rifles that I've had access to for the longest, because everything in its own way feels fun as hell to use. I spend one game with the Sabrisk Burstfire rifle as an example, and I want to try it again 2 games later, but I'm also contemplating the other half of the arsenal that I also haven't been able to use for multiple games in a row now. I'll also go chasing after power weapons like a rabid dog chases the unattended toddler. Even if it means putting my life in immediate danger, I just simply want to experience the neuron activation that comes from hitting a Deadshot one-tap or a BFB swing. Seriously, when those weapons hit the arena, my sense of self-preservation leaves the room quickly. Everything in this game feels fun. Everything in this game feels viable, and that kind of proves you don't need to add a whole bunch of arbitrary fluff to keep your players engaged. If your gameplay and your content does that for you, you're kinda covered, and in Splitgate, it does. Now, why do I harp on about this? Why is it important? Of course, fun is the most important part of any game, let alone a first-person shooter game. This may be coming across as a big well duh moment to a lot of people. The point here, guys, is that with Splitgate 2 being this beacon of fun and the literal opposite of a storefront with a game attached that so many other games tend to feel like these days, it still feels like it has the stones to be a genuine competitor to some of the titans of industry that have held a very strong grip on things for so long, if of course it keeps going in the right direction. And that's important for our industry, very important in fact, more important than I think a lot of people may actually realize. Now, I know that sounds like a lot of optimistic copium, and I know that a lot of people here have noticed that I tend to venture a little off the beaten path when it comes to my choice and coverage of first-person shooter games at the moment. I tend to gravitate towards the more indie games or the IPs that are brand new, that tend to sit on the sidelines and try to make things up a little bit by comparison to the big dogs. My time delving into things like BattleBit, Delta Force, XDefiant, are all examples of this, which, they aged well, didn't they? I've had a few comments in the past few months that go along the lines of, oh no, this dude is covering the game, it's gonna die in 6 months. Which, look, to be fair, given my track record, is actually fucking hilarious. Am I just now the Grim Reaper of budding FPS games? But jokes aside, guys, I've actually really come to dislike how much of the established franchises of this FPS space out there have come to disrespect our time as gamers as of late. Whether it be through gatekeeping excessive content behind paywalls or time gates, or just by releasing half-baked products only to rely on the brand name to carry the product forward, I honestly just don't have the time nor the patience to enjoy mediocre games these days as life continues to get busier. I value my time too much, and especially as someone who has seen these games at their peak by comparison to where they are now, I found that the best thing that I can do for myself is just focusing on celebrating what these budding competitors are doing well and bringing more eyes to them where I can if I deem it to be fun enough. Celebrating the experiences that the big guys in the gaming industry right now just seem to be incapable of giving us at the moment because their focus is elsewhere, such as monetizing their game to high hell. Splitgate 2, it feels like one of those competitors that deserves a highlight for me. It kind of feels like the Halo game that I've been wanting for a while but never got. And while it took a new player on the market to make it with some extra mechanics to make it unique, it's here. And I'm so happy for it. I'm so happy that I can now play an arena shooter that feels like a Halo game that is only done better than the latest Halo games we've got. And the only way we're going to see these big guys on the market change their ways for the better is if genuine competitors come onto the scene and give them a run for their money. Players equals revenue, and revenue talks these days. So when a game like Splitgate 2 comes along that has the premise, the execution, and the design it really needs to give the industry titans a run for their money, it forces said industry titans to be better. It forces them to evolve and raise the standard for their own game, or risk being left in the dust by continuing to release, quite frankly, shithouse products. The more healthy competition we see in our space, the better the games will be that we get. And Splitgate is bringing some incredibly healthy, well-trained competition to the ring that is very important for arena shooters. Now, look guys, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Splitgate 2 is definitively the next big thing or household name that we'll all be trying to teach our out-of-touch parents or grandparents about in the gaming space.
Oh, Splitgate 2, is that some new drug you kids are doing these days?
Okay, Grandma, let's get you back to your bingo now. There have been many an indie FPS title that I've been extremely excited about that all held the prospects of being a good, long-standing game in the market, only for them to flop in big, catastrophic ways. So again, I'm not really getting my hopes up these days when it comes to new IPs and titles. I'll always celebrate new entrants to the market that hold potential, like I'm doing with Splitgate here, but getting my hopes up is only likely to see me disappointed. I know that. I also expect that in my comment section, people will be sitting here going, see you in 6 months, dickhead, can't wait for you to get hyped over another doomed first-person shooter game. All of which is incredibly fair. But by the same token, guys, man, I can't help but really appreciate what Splitgate 2 is trying to do, but also what it accomplishes already. Sticking it to the big guy, building on a unique concept, and creating one of the most fun experiences one can experience in FPS games right now, on this day, and the evident focus on fun that we see in this game's design makes it one of the most important titles on the market right now. It represents a real opportunity to mix things up and maybe, just maybe, if it finds the momentum to really get the ball rolling here and become that next mainstay title, it might just mix things up here and force our other guys, our other big dogs in the industry to maybe lift their game up a bit. Maybe stop feeling so comfortable with the mediocre products that they've been releasing as of late by comparison to the golden gems they released of yesteryear. And look, say that doesn't happen. Quite frankly, I'm just thankful that we've got an extremely fun experience to play right now. I mean, even in the short term, let's just say that in 6 months' time, Splitgate 2 is a total blip on the radar that simply doesn't exist anymore. All well and good, we at least got a really fun and enjoyable experience that proved, at least for the short term, that you can release a game that focuses exclusively on fun and still have a relatively successful launch. That's an important lesson alone for the industry, and it's an important thing for gamers alone. But with a dash of copium thrown in on top of that as well, I can only hope that Splitgate actually ends up being a very important title for the genre and for the industry in the long term. But that's probably with a mad dashing of copium. Anyway, that's a bit of rambling for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed today's video, folks, and if you did, be sure to backhand the like button. It does go a long way to supporting the channel. If you're new here, consider subscribing. More Splitgate content coming your way, but we're also doing a bunch of other stuff in the future. Got some Battlefield content coming as well very, very soon. And leave a comment down below. Have you been enjoying Splitgate 2, or is this a bit of a, one and done for you guys in the long run? Let us know. But until next time, folks, peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.